Marvel is skipping Comic-Con's Hall H this year. Let me pull up the story. And Badger, I believe you have the
I do.
You have the highlights of this story. Here we go.
Rest in peace, Chris Gore. Marvel Studios
69.
will not be taking the stage in San Diego Comic-Con's iconic Hall H this year, marking another notable absence from the Spotlight event. The decision follows Disney and Marvel's move to delay Avengers Doomsday to December 2026, allowing the studio to aim its major fanfare at Comic-Con 2026 instead. While Marvel won't headline Hall H in 2025, it won't be entirely absent from the July 24th through 27 convention. The studio still plans to host its usual panels centered on comics and games and will maintain a booth presence promoting the upcoming reboot, The Fantastic Four First Steps, which releases that same weekend. Marvel made waves at last year's Hall H presentation by announcing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars and revealing Robert Downey Jr. would portray Dr. Doom. With Doomsday now set for December 18th, 2026, and Secret Wars for December 17th, 2027, the studio is clearly positioning its next Avengers chapter for a major future rollout. Not the first time they have opted out. Similar moves have happened in 2011, 2015, and 2018, and during the pandemic. As the convention season heats up, Marvel's next big appearance is slated for CCXP Mexico, where the Fantastic Four team will take the stage this Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, there are two basic stories here. One is the fact that Marvel's skipping out on Hall H. The other one is how important is San Diego Comic-Con? It's over the years, I remember going, and it was this giant event. All the studios were there. All the studios had booths. These last few years, especially after the pandemic, unless something really big has been coming out, no one shows up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all
look forward to the Hall H announcements? I really used to look forward to the Hall H announcements. I couldn't wait to see what was coming up, and like Marvel not being there, they're just going to have a booth. I mean, really, they can't really top, Robert Downey Jr. coming out and just going like that.
They don't really have much to announce.
I feel like they're scrambling right now. They're really scrambling right now because, okay, we're getting Avengers Doomsday, but what's the story leading up to Doomsday? I have no idea.
None of us do.
I have no idea what the story is leading up to Doomsday. So they're scrambling. Yeah. They're really struggling to put together something cohesive. Of course, they're not going to Comic-Con.
But also,
and not only do they not have a story, do you not know what Doomsday is about? In your mind, what are you anticipating it might be about? No one has any even thought about whether this is going to be something we're going to look forward to.
Well, yeah, that's why they got Robert Downey Jr. back, right? To get us excited about it, because if it weren't for him, no one would care. No one would care if Robert Downey Jr. weren't involved in this.
Yeah. Even Comic-Con is also not as popular as it used to be, because as a fan, when you go to Comic-Con, you want to get all the awesome toys and see all your franchises, except all those franchises have been more or less ruined to some degree, and the toys just aren't where because they stopped marketing to the people that were actually buying the stuff. So what would I be going to Comic-Con except going on Chris's panel, hopefully? Yeah, no,
it's wild, man. I mean, San Diego, Doctor Who used to rule Sundays at San Diego Comic-Con. It's non-existent now, right? It's like you can't ruin the franchise and expect people to show up for you. And I don't know. I think the damage is done with the MCU, man. Look, even if they were there this year, I don't think the hype would be there.
But what would they even talk about? What would they talk about? Wonder Man?
Doomsday.
Like, there's nothing else coming up that's, in the pipeline between now and the next Comic-Con next year. They don't have anything coming up.
Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man 4, Doomsday.
Ironheart's already passed. So it's because this is end of July. So we're talking about, they got Marvel Zombies, they got Eyes of Wakanda, and they got potentially Wonder Man for the rest of the year. And then next year, nothing until, I guess, Spider-Man?
Yeah, talk about your canceled Black Panther video game that got an entire studio closed.
or that, yeah.
They don't have anything coming up, so there's nothing for them really to talk about.
Wait, did Spider-Man 4 get pushed back too, or is it just?
No, it's next year. It's just next year.
It's still coming out summer next year.
And my understanding is, by the way, did the show get better after I left? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it did.
Oh, that's excellent. But my understanding is the events in Spider-Man happened before Doomsday anyways.
I thought it was
So-
supposed to be a bridge movie that
Oh
is
my
supposed to take
gosh.
place directly
Not a bridge
between
movie.
Doomsday and Secret
That's what
Wars.
I thought,
Oh, my
Badger.
God.
I thought the same
No.
thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way,
that's what they
do
said.
you realize how many loose ends there are if you look at the phase 4 and 5 movies, like the
So many.
post-credit scenes? There are so many loose ends. I've always said the only fun way to resolve it is have Lewis from Ant-Man come out and tell some crazy convoluted story about all those things. It would be funny. It'd be a
Yeah.
great way to write all that stuff off and then
I
have
have to.
something involving Kang. There's got to be a Kang payoff.
Ugh.
Like
I
Kang
miss
was
that
always
character.
misdirected.
I don't
We
know,
need to
man.
mention
I, don't-
him.
I
I
miss
think
that
they're scared
character
to
though.
touch
That was
King right now.
funny.
Just let it go.
Just kill off
Well,
all the characters.
Just
Just
let
kill
him go.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's smart. They're doing what we've said we want them to do which is take a break. It's too
Yeah.
much. 3
Yep.
movies in 1 year. All the Disney Plus shows, in my opinion, really diminished the brand because then the movies became homework. And me, I'm a weird purist with this stuff, and I know I'll get hate for saying this. I only care what happens in the movies. Nothing else
Ooh.
matters to me. It happens in the movies. The comics are a separate thing. That's fine. They can be inspired. That's fine. Other things are separate. But the movies, that's what I care about when it comes to Star Wars or Marvel, just the movies. Now,
Yep.
I can go off and appreciate comic runs and all that. You know, the first 100 issues of FF, Kirby and Lee, like there's a lot to love. But if you're just a normie movie fan, like when you go to Target and they're selling Star Wars and Marvel shirts, like that was a thing that was cool. Now when I see someone with a Target shirt where I'm like, you got that Nirvana shirt at Target, right? You
Yeah.
just that's what you got at Target. Not like you didn't go to a show or you didn't like get some punk rock $5 one outside of a show where it fell apart. Like it's nerd
Chris.
stuff is mainstream. You, Rob, all the members of the panel that are old enough to remember, nerd stuff was not always cool. And
Oh,
I
hell
feel like
No.
it's
No.
I
Blame the
grew
Big
up in an
Bang
era.
Theory.
Do you know how many times I was called fag in high school?
Yep.
A lot.
Do it. It's
All
contextual.
the time.
Yep. A
Just
lot.
for liking comics and liking nerd shit. I was called the F word, whatever you want to say. And the tide turned, right? The tide turned and now nerd stuff is cool. When I first started working at G4, 2005, March of 2005, it was not cool then.
No, it
was-
wasn't.
Mm-mm.
Liking Star Wars was nerdy, and liking Star Trek was nerdier than that, and I liked both of them. So,
Yeah.
like, yes, there was levels. I just want to say, Chris, because you're talking about canon, and, like
Yeah,
the comics
please.
and all that. Yeah. Just pick a canon and stick to it, please.
Right.
Because Disney contradicts its own canon in the MCU. The whole Star Wars with Andor, they wrote a whole comic. The whole point was Disney said, hey, look, we're going to get rid of all the expanded universe, but everything we produce is canon and will make sense. And they had a comic, and Cassian Andor showed how we met K2SO, and that was canon, and that was sold that way. And then Tony Gilroy came in and changed it. And they don't even pay attention to their own shit that they say is canon and then sell things based on that promise. So if you can't keep track, how am I supposed to keep track
Well,
of
that's
it?
because they
Yeah.
fundamentally don't understand these characters
Or care.
Or care.
Yeah.
Or
Nerd,
both.
nerd culture going mainstream. I've always blamed the Big Bang Theory television show for that,
Yes.
which is super annoying. But I'm with you, Chris. Like only the movies, Marvel movies, really matter to me, because it was so easy to keep track of of the phases of Marvel, going and seeing movies that came out because it's not a lot of time. Like 2.5 hours, not a lot of time in your day. Whereas you have to get Disney Plus. And you have to invest multiple hours watching all of these shows. And it's too much time. It's too much to keep track of, especially when they have filler episodes and some things don't really matter. It's too much time for me to invest in shows that are terrible, in my opinion. Because I've watched 3 of them and I didn't really like them. They were fine. But I mean, if we were to have a Hawkeye movie, or a Loki movie, I feel like it would have been better than what was on Disney Plus. So I like the movies, and everything else I'm not going to keep track of. And I don't think a lot of regular people are the same. Regular people have, normal jobs, 9 to 5. They don't have all this time to invest in all of these, keeping track of all of these shows. So all of those Marvel shows just completely were a detriment to Marvel itself. And depending so much on those shows was a stupid idea.
Yeah, I agree. Let's I'll say this. They might look, Marvel may not be at Hall H this year, but in 2026, you know that RDJ will be there. Much of the cast will be there for Doomsday. They will debut, if not a trailer, it's a show footage they won't show anywhere else. They will be the talk of Comic-Con in a year. But for now, put it on ice. It's what most of us have been saying they should do anyways. So I say go at it.
Yeah,
So,
you heard it here. Chris promises Simu Liu will be at Comic-Con next year.
and Alan
On
will,
ice.
and that you won't see Alan and Simu in the same place at the same
That's
time,
right.
which I have questions about. So we'll discuss that at another time. All right.
But also, this isn't the first time Marvel has skipped Comic-Con. So I mean, they've skipped before.
Several other.
Yeah.
Or DC for that matter. But guess what? Marvel does have some big news. And if you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you are in luck because there are Fantastic Four Cereal Collabs that you can consume and collect. I still have the Superman and Batman cereal box from Batman v Superman. They've got their pop-up, they foil, they're really good boxes. I have a Ray Star Wars. I do. I have it. I'm well, I am ashamed to admit it. But let's watch this reveal video of the Fantastic Four cereals.
All right.
How did Johnny get stuck with Honey Nut Cheerios? That's
I feel like Grimm
that's
should be on
lame.
granola or something.
Hey, I like Honey Nut Cheerios. What the fuck?
Reese's Puffs. I get Cinnamon Toast Crunch for Reed. He gets the best one.
Hey, Honey Nut Cheerios is the healthiest one there.
Yeah,
really
none of this is healthy. It's all bad for you.
Yeah.
But
Dante believed the heart health propaganda from Big Cereal.
and Stu gets
I thought that was
Big
just on regular Cheerios, the heart health.
Oh,
Not
not the Honey
Honey
Nut.
Nut
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't even think there's a prize. You just get a box that has
Depression is the prize.
Yeah,
you
like
get.
what's the point of that if there's no prize? What?
Yeah,
You don't have a little Fantastic Four decoder ring in there? Come on.
Yeah, see, that would be cool. That would
Yeah,
be cool.
gotta
But
break
Sue is Irish, by the way.
There's a rainbow cylinder inside of the Pedro one. You just
Oh.
have to.
Oh God.
yeah, well, I don't know. Is this look, by the way, I was at Monsterpalooza this weekend. I saw the most one guy there, this guy named Miles from the UK, had the best curated collection of nerd shit. It's really obscure stuff. And I was the kind of person when I was a kid, I collected the UPC codes off the backs of Pop-Tarts to send in to get the rare item. And I still have some of that stuff. So I can appreciate this, but it's not as inspiring as it used to be. Remember when they would do a cereal, Batman cereal or C-3POs? They'd actually do a custom cereal. The cereal that I have.
Oh yeah, I had Mr. T. Man, Mr. T cereal was like it was terrible, but I had it.
Yes, Mr. T. I had the Batman and Superman cereal from Batman v Superman. The Superman had the most unfortunate flavor. It was chocolate strawberry.
Ugh.
Sounds
Ugh.
better than it is. It was
Mm-hmm.
awful. I ate one box.
Oh, that milk must have been awful at the end.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But the promotion for FF will continue. Let's look at this. Another thing here. I'm going to share with this. Vanessa Kirby gives 4 words to describe each Fantastic Four member. Badger, if you'd read this.
Oh, sure. Sue, she describes herself as loving, strong, badass, and soulful. Soulful. Reed, she describes, this is Pedro Pascal, but Reed, sexy, hot, genius, special. Well, I do agree with that last one.
I agree with
Yes.
special. I agree
Yes.
with special.
Ben, he's gentle and giant, deep, wry, and brotherly.
Oh, that's 5 words.
Interesting. He should put a little thing. Johnny, he's naughty, funny, cool, and well dressed. Then they put a thing together, so I guess that counts as one.
He
Yes.
got the most words. There's definitely something going on there. She's got
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. She calls Johnny gorgeous.
Yeah, there you go. This is I mean, it's like a junket style interview. Wait, read this one, Badger. From
I do. Yeah, for 4 words. 1, I want to die.
That's good. Oh, that's good. Oh man. Well, there's going to be a lot more FF. What do we think of? I mean, it's generally been like, okay, it doesn't look bad. Everyone seems to love the look, right? The look of the FF, that sort of retro future 60s. Very optimistic. What do we think?
I think honestly that I really, really love Vanessa Kirby, and what I'm hoping is that my love for her cancels out my hatred of Pedro Pascal, and maybe somehow they just combine, and that way I could just tune them both out, and maybe the movie would be good.
The charisma and team dynamic better be strong, and I've yet to see evidence.
Yes.
Of that.
The problem is she has more charisma, and she can act circles around him. So you know what? She's going to be the leader of the team. It's Sue Storm,
Johnny and Grimm.
It's Sue Storm and the other guys. That's what we're going to watch.
Well,
she is the only one that she labeled as strong and badass. So,
well, I'll just say this: based on her age, which she's 38. I love that, a little older Sue than from the comics. But she is Britain's MILF. I think I want to see if there's a plot line involving getting stuck in a dryer. That could be a whole other stuck in a dryer. Turning invisible doesn't help. I don't know. I think she's probably the best cast of all of them. Reed is the most miscast. In my opinion.
So how would she get out? That's I'm trying to figure.
I mean, do you think there's a chance his performance will win us over, though?
I think she will.
I mean him, Pedro.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything good or bad about Reed. So I just heard that the effects of him stretching are not great. And to me, the way Kirby drew Reed in the first 100 issues of the FF, just my imagination. And even in the cartoons, you'd hear the sound of him stretching like like a weird sort of like, I can't believe there have been this many FF movies and they've never gotten the effects right for stretching. We now live in an age digital where it's possible to make it look cool. And I think it's going to be weak. I'm just based on what I've seen, which isn't much. So make of that what you will. Any other thoughts?
Yeah. Again, I want to just like him more.
Same.
I hope Robert's right that Pedro can I don't know, work a fucking miracle to make us see through it. Because hey, I thought Cynthia Erivo, and she's batshit, but I watched Wicked and boy, they're good and made me believe in the character. So I don't know if he's capable of that anymore. I really don't.
Well, I don't know. Pedro, by the way, was not the first choice for Reed. There were a lot of actors rumored who passed on this or they met with, including add ones that I forgot. Adam Driver, right? Like John Krasinski might have done it. I mean, maybe they got to look at the script and thought, do I want to do this for a decade? Yeah. Who are some other people that were rumored to have
David Tennant said he wanted to do it, right?
I think he might have been good.
Yeah.
They all turned it down for a reason.
So. Yeah, exactly.
They all turned it down for a reason. There's a reason.
Matt Shackman, I question him as the director of whether that was the right person for this particular film.
Not just the last 3 Marvel movies are all from TV directors. And what that tells me is, and Rob, you know about this, in the world of TV, the producer has more control than the director. In the world of film, the director generally has more power to present a vision. But I think that Feige is managing this like these are TV shows. And I think it shows with weak directors.
Well, and what happens is on a TV show, a director, you get to turn in your cut and then you leave. And the producers can do anything with your cut that they want. And and unless they invite you, you don't really get to participate in the final mix. And I think like a movie like The Marvels, for instance, the director Nia DaCosta directs it, and then she left. You know, she did what she was going to do, and then they take it over. So I don't think that always used to be the case, because I think what happened with like the Russo brothers, certainly Joss Whedon, who, you know, ran very successful TV shows and made Serenity and things like that, they were probably much more involved. I know that Alan Taylor did not have Alan Taylor was a TV director who came over from Thrones that did Thor: The Dark World, and I don't think, from what I understand, he had a very good time making The Dark World.
Nia said some things were already filmed, by the way, and she couldn't change, like, oh, sorry, we already shot that scene with like a second unit.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of that, so they're not auteurist visions. And I think that when the Marvel movies are the best, you have a James Gunn who was hired to put his imprimatur on the Guardians. The Guardians movies are clearly James Gunn's movies, but he understood the assignment, you know, and I'm sure they kept him on because he was going to control the cosmic elements of it. But like you said, Chris, these TV directors are, while they're used to that, they're used to not participating in the final cut, but I don't understand how to direct a motion picture. I mean, I've only worked on a Skinemax show and directed 5 episodes of TV, and I had more control over that than normal because our friend Mark Altman was the producer and he let me cut my own episodes. So I don't know what it's like, but I can't imagine Marvel's not going to attract an auteur director anymore. There's no way you get a guy like David Fincher going, oh yeah, I got to make a Marvel movie, because they're just not going to do it. And the only directors that are going to step up now to make Marvel movies are coming from TV, because they're transitioning from TV to features, and no one else is going to give them that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, will we get a Nolan doing a superhero film anytime soon? Someone of a caliber of because I think that's what, look, I love that Dark Knight trilogy, more of a 2.5 good movies, I would say. But I don't think we've gotten much that's better than what he did since. No.
And that's an auteurist vision. Yes. You know, working with his brother and working with David Goyer to write those scripts. You know, you're never going to get that again. That's why I'm interested in James Gunn's Superman, because it is an auteurist movie. It's a writer-director working and doing it his way. And he is the head of the studio at the same time. So at least, whether you like the vision of it or not, whether you like the direction, it is going to be an auteurist superhero movie.
Yeah, but you did just say 2 conflicting things, right? He's the head of a studio, and he has to be a visionary for everything, not just what he wants.
Right.
So can he do those 2 things? Is the issue.
I don't know. And that's why it's going to be, I really don't know, but I do know at least his movie is a writer-director vision. And you certainly don't see that. Marvel allowed James Gunn to do that, but you don't see that in many other places. So for that alone, I'm interested to see what James Gunn does.
Well, let's go to another story related to the FF. Pedro Pascal on Reed Richards. This is from Empire. And Pedro sees a limitless amount of layers to Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four First Steps. Badger, if you would.
Pedro Pascal was chosen, despite what we've been saying here. Pedro Pascal was chosen to play Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four: The First Steps because director Matt Shakman saw in him the rare ability to embody the many dimensions of Mr. Fantastic. Reed isn't just a super genius. He's a leader, a husband, a soon-to-be father, an action hero, and a man constantly wrestling with the weight of cosmic-level threats. Shakman needed someone who could portray both the intellectual and emotional complexity of a character capable of calculating the end of the world while still being tender and present for his family. Pedro was the perfect fit. As Shakman put it, he needed an actor who could contain multitudes. Pascal's range, his ability to shift from cerebral to heartfelt, from calm strategist to dynamic leader, mirrors Reed's own elastic nature. Pascal himself was drawn to the contradictions in the role, a man who catastrophizes on a mathematical scale while remaining emotionally available. In short, Pedro Pascal wasn't just cast for his star power, but because he could truly stretch into every facet of Mr. Fantastic.
Does he have star power? Let's be honest.
No.
Is he able to cable cerebral? I think he's the dumb himbo. That's why I don't believe him as...
Well, that's the thing. Everything he described Reed needs to be, we never saw in any of the trailers or clips or anything.
Mhm.
Yep.
So either he's just talking to soothe the fans, or they decide not to show any of that in any of the trailers, any of the scenes, or anything that's being marketed for this film.
I don't think he has star power. I think he has a lot of followers. Like that's it.
Hmm,
He has a
that's
lot of
more
followers.
accurate. That's more accurate. I
Um,
think he is a weak link for sure in the film because so many others passed on it. You know,
Mhm.
Or
And
is
I
that the
think-
character, right? They see something in the way Reed is written that they go, I don't want to play that.
Well, I mean, according to I reported, all I did was read text messages from a friend who saw the movie. It was I just directly read them, and it's been reported kind of the same. But Grace Randolph, and I believe her, also heard from someone and said that this leaves, she even hates to use the word. It leans heavily into MCU. She hates the word because one of the things, it's so funny. I watch Grace. I watch a lot of different people. You know, I like to hear what others think. You know, like
Very magnanimous.
and she always really brings up diversity is really important to her. It's really important that there's diversity. The good diversity doesn't mean the movie is good or the film or TV show is good just because there is diversity. There has to be good characters. But even she heard from her source, a lot of different YouTubers. I think people reached out. I was one. Maybe you guys heard from some people as well. But she even was like rolling her eyes, like she was admitting when she revealed kind of the events of the end and who the real hero is of the FF. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going to go, but it's like, couldn't you have these three strong men in a team? Couldn't they just be a balanced use? I mean, is that part of the reshoots or changes they'll make? Like, I'm just, if Grace Randolph, who's definitely a cheerleader for all things, you know, Marvel, what if you're losing her based on what she's hearing? That's not a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. She is a cheerleader for all things women, you know,
Yes,
like women power and all of that stuff. So, but she like I watched that section of her video. She absolutely recognizes that the Fantastic Four are a team and they
Right.
work together. And the fact that, you know, we have one member of the team basically doing all of the work while what are the men doing at that time? What is
Right.
happening that they can't help her, or that she's teaming up with another woman, you know, to basically save the day. And the fact that she recognizes that that shouldn't happen in a Fantastic Four movie where they're a team, they're supposed to be working as a team. I mean, that coming from her, I was like, wow, okay, Grace, she's really putting it out there. She's disappointed in the movie. And if she's going to be, if she's disappointed in the movie, I think that a lot of people will be disappointed in that ending as well.
Very telling.
And-
Again, that
but-
Robert wasn't excited about it. These are the people I would expect to be loving Fanta. And when they're like, that does not fill me with inspiration.
And remember, this is the woman who stopped watching The Last of Us when they killed off Pedro Pascal in the second episode. So this woman loves Pedro Pascal. So it must kill her to say this about the Fantastic Four.
To be fair, that 6th episode of the 2nd season, that flashback episode with Pedro Pascal was pretty stellar.
It was good.
I mean, he was really good.
The
in
show
it.
as a whole was not great, but that episode was good.
That episode was. I mean, I think. Look, everyone loved him in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
You know, when he first came on,
yes.
he had charisma to burn. His pansexual,
But you know, I'd never seen him
egomaniacal
before.
antics were irresistible.
I didn't know any of his politics. I didn't know who. I only knew him as Oberyn Martell.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And now I'm very well aware of who he is, and it's hard for me to.
But he does have a trans sister, and who's apparently fully transitioned. You know, and he's got to stick up for family too. So
Sure, protect the dolls.
but you know,
His acting in Game of Thrones is outstanding. That charisma coming through, it's really good.
was
It
he
almost
great?
feels as if the more he has risen in Hollywood, the more he knows how untouchable he is in Hollywood, the worse his acting has gotten.
I
A little
agree.
bit. So it's kind of this I'm too good for these roles, so I'll just phone it in type of thing. I don't know how to explain it, but
He was like he was one of the villain. He was a villain in The Equalizer 2 with Denzel. And he was pretty good in that, you know, and as a former partner turned bad guy. And I do feel like he's just, even the Mandalorian, I'm sorry, his voice in the Mandalorian is not very good. He does not bring that Clint Eastwood man with no name charisma.
He's way too hit and miss, man, because he was good in the he was good in that movie with Nicolas Cage. I can't remember the long title of that movie.
Unbearable weight.
Unbearable weight of talent or something.
He was
like
great.
that.
Something like that. He was good. He was good in that.
Yeah.
He was also the villain in Wonder Woman 1984.
He was
Yeah.
awful. Oh my god, that third act
was terrible as Maxwell Lord.
God. Yeah, Sean Gunn's going to show him how to do it.
God, that movie.
It's almost like at that point in his career, doing all of those movies, he had something to prove. You know, to like, I am a great actor. I'm doing all of the hard work, and now he's just like, I'm already there. I've gotten to the pinnacle. What did he say when he was walking up the stairs? I'm a lazy something sassy bitch.
I feel like he did that to
50-year-old bougie bitch.
Yes, like
know.
there you go. He doesn't care anymore. He's reached the pinnacle of his acting career. He doesn't really.
Or he
care.
did that hoping it would go viral because he knew everyone was recording him. Either way, he's
I don't
very
think
well
I
aware.
don't think he knew they were recording him.
No,
he knew.
Camp
I
people.
don't
He
know.
knew.
They knew it. That was set up.
The point is, how could you have an authentic? How could you connect with a character and be lost in the moment and blah blah blah? If you're also thinking about what this is going to mean for the community, and I just don't think he's focused on the acting anymore. I think he's focused on all the other stuff.